My name is Dr. Markel, and for 23 years I've worked as a counselor for a local juvenile detention center. I've encountered every type of troubled youth you could imagine, but there's one boy I will never forget. His name was Oliver Kane, and he arrived at the center in the fall of 2017. Unlike most of the kids, he wasn't defiant or angry. In fact, he was eerily calm. Too calm. Oliver stood out immediately. He was polite, articulate, and always willing to participate in our therapy sessions. The staff called him a model detainee, but something about him gave me an unshakable sense of unease. He didn't belong there, not because he was innocent, but because he seemed different. On his first day, I had the boys introduce themselves to the group by sharing something they missed from the outside world. The usual answers came up: pizza, video games, their families. But when it was Oliver's turn, he simply said, "I miss her." "Who?" I asked. But he just smiled and said, "It doesn't matter. She's with me now." At first, I thought he was just being cryptic to get attention. Many of these kids thrive on unsettling adults. But over the next few weeks, strange things started happening. Oliver always carried a small leather notebook with him, against regulations. When I confronted him about it, he handed it over without protest. The pages were filled with intricate drawings of a woman. Her face was always obscured, sometimes by shadows, sometimes by her own long hair. The detail was astounding. She didn't look like a fantasy figure. She looked real. "Who is she?" I asked. "A friend," he replied. That night I made the mistake of taking the notebook home. I couldn't stop flipping through it. Every page felt heavy, as if the ink itself carried some kind of weight. The last drawing was different. It was of a room, my office, complete with the worn leather chair I sat in during sessions. The woman stood behind the chair, her face hidden as usual. The next morning, I handed the notebook back to Oliver and told him he couldn't bring it to sessions anymore. He didn't argue. He just smiled and said, "She didn't like you looking anyway." 2 weeks later, I received a call at 2 a.m. One of the guards had been found unconscious in the hallway near Oliver's cell. The security footage showed him walking toward the cell, stopping abruptly, and collapsing. There was no one near him, except for a shadow that didn't belong to anything in frame. After that incident, I insisted on meeting with Oliver alone. He sat across from me, that same calm smile on his face. "Oliver," I said, keeping my voice steady, "what happened to the guard?" "He got too close," he said simply. "Too close to what?" I pressed. "To her," he said, leaning forward. "She doesn't like being watched." I tried to dismiss it as a delusion, but the next night I had a dream. No, a nightmare. I was sitting in my office, staring at the same woman from Oliver's drawings. Her hair obscured her face, but I could feel her watching me. I woke up drenched in sweat, my chest tight, as if I'd been suffocating. The next day, Oliver was gone, transferred to another facility without notice. His cell was empty, but on the wall, scratched into the concrete, were the words, "She knows you saw her." I've tried to forget Oliver Kane, but I can't. Every time I glance at a shadow, every time I'm alone in my office late at night, I feel her, watching, waiting. And I know one thing for certain: she's not just in his drawings anymore.